Ladies and gentlemen, teachers and fellow students, good morning. Today, I stand before you to share the incredible and inspiring life story of a man who turned failure into fuel and rejection into revolution. Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba Group and one of the most influential entrepreneurs of our time. Jack Ma was born in Hangzhou, China in 1964 into a modest family. From an early age, he faced challenges. He was not born with wealth or connections. In fact, he failed his primary school exams not once but twice. He also failed his middle school exams 3 times. Most of us would have given up, but not Jack. After high school, he applied to college and failed the entrance exam twice before finally passing on the 3rd try and getting into Hangzhou Teachers Institute. He graduated with a degree in English and began working as an English teacher, earning just $12 a month. Even then, Jack Ma remained curious, determined and hungry to learn more. Jack Ma's early struggles in education played a significant role in shaping his character, resilience and approach to life. His story is a testament to how setbacks in traditional education do not determine one's potential for success. Born in Hangzhou, China in 1964, Jack Ma grew up in a humble household with limited resources. He did not come from a privileged background, nor did he have access to elite schools or specialized tutoring. From the beginning, education was a challenge for him. Unlike many successful entrepreneurs who excelled academically, Jack Ma consistently struggled in school. He failed his primary school exams twice and his middle school exams 3 times. These repeated failures would have discouraged most people, leading them to question their intelligence or give up entirely. But not Jack. Instead of being defined by his failures, Jack learned from them. He understood that failure was not a final destination, but rather part of the journey. It taught him perseverance and humility. This ability to accept failure without losing hope became a core strength throughout his life. After completing high school, Jack set his sights on attending university. In China, this requires passing a national entrance exam known as the Gaokao. Jack Ma failed the Gaokao not once but twice. Only on his 3rd attempt did he finally succeed in gaining admission. Even then, he didn't enter one of China's top universities. He enrolled at Hangzhou Teachers Institute, a lesser-known school where he studied English. This detail is important because it shows that his path was far from perfect. It was full of obstacles, delays, and detours, but he kept moving forward. At university, Jack found something he was good at. He spent time talking to foreign tourists in his hometown, even offering free tour guide services in exchange for conversations. This helped him improve his English and exposed him to different cultures and perspectives. It also planted the seeds of his global mindset, which would later become a major asset when building Alibaba. But even after completing his education, success didn't come easily. He applied for dozens of jobs after graduation and was rejected from more than. In one of the most well-known examples, when KFC came to China and was hiring staff, 24 people applied. Out of the 24, 23 were hired, and the only one who wasn't was Jack Ma. These repeated rejections were discouraging, but he never let them define him. Jack Ma has spoken openly about his academic failures and how they influenced him. In interviews, he has said, "If you don't give up, you still have a chance." That mindset was built through years of academic struggle. Instead of giving in to frustration or bitterness, Jack turned each failure into a lesson. He didn't see poor exam scores as a verdict on his intelligence, but as a challenge to improve and adapt. His journey through the education system reveals a valuable truth. Academic success is not the only path to greatness. Intelligence comes in many forms, and perseverance often matters more than raw talent. Jack Ma's early educational failures shaped his identity. They made him tough, resilient, and unafraid of trying again and again. Most importantly, they gave him the empathy to understand and inspire others who face similar obstacles. In a world where test scores and degrees are often overemphasized, Jack Ma's story reminds us that determination, self-belief, and the ability to grow from failure are far more powerful. Jack Ma's life is filled with powerful lessons about resilience and persistence, especially when it comes to facing rejection. One of the most remarkable aspects of his journey is the sheer number of rejections he endured before eventually achieving success. While many people give up after 1 or 2 setbacks, Jack Ma experienced rejection dozens of times, and yet he never allowed those moments to defeat his spirit or destroy his dreams. After completing his studies at Hangzhou Teachers Institute, Jack Ma began looking for a job. Like many fresh graduates, he hoped to find employment that would allow him to start his career and contribute to society. However, what followed was a long and frustrating period of rejection. He applied to over 30 different companies and was rejected by every single one. These weren't just high-level corporate jobs or competitive roles. Many of the positions were quite basic and entry-level, but still he wasn't chosen. This pattern of rejection wasn't just disappointing, it was deeply personal. When you try again and again and still hear no, it can begin to affect your self-confidence and make you question your value. Perhaps the most well-known story of Jack Ma's rejection is from the time when the fast food chain KFC came to his city, Hangzhou. The company was hiring staff and conducted a recruitment drive. A total of 24 people applied for the job. Out of those 24, 23 were accepted, and the only person rejected was Jack Ma. This story has become almost symbolic of his journey. It highlights just how excluded and underestimated he was in his early life. Imagine being the only person told no in a room full of others who were accepted. For most people, this would be a crushing experience. But for Jack Ma, it was just one more reason to keep trying. He was also rejected from the police force when he applied. Out of 5 applicants, 4 were accepted, and once again he was the only one turned away. These repeated rejections were not just isolated incidents, they were part of a pattern. Society consistently told Jack Ma that he wasn't good enough, that he didn't meet the requirements, or that he didn't fit in. But what makes his story so powerful is how he responded. Instead of giving up, he took every rejection as a lesson. He didn't internalize failure, he used it as motivation to prove people wrong. Jack Ma has often said that rejection is a natural part of life. In interviews and speeches, he encourages young people not to be afraid of hearing no. According to him, rejection is not a sign of weakness, it's a challenge to grow stronger. He once stated, "If you cannot handle failure, you cannot handle success." These words come from real experience, not theory. He lived through more rejection than most people ever will, and it prepared him for the bigger challenges that came later when he started his business. What we can learn from Jack Ma's story is that rejection is not the end of the road. In fact, for some people, it's just the beginning. When others closed the door on him, Jack Ma didn't waste time complaining. Instead, he looked for another way in, or he built his own door. Every rejection he faced helped him develop thick skin, emotional strength, and an unwavering belief in himself. These are the qualities that later helped him build one of the biggest internet companies in the world, Alibaba. Ultimately, Jack Ma teaches us that rejection should never define our future. It is simply a redirection, a sign that we're meant to carve our own path. By staying persistent and believing in our potential, even in the face of repeated no's, we can still achieve great things, just like Jack Ma did. Jack Ma's life took a major turn in 1995 when he encountered the internet for the first time. This moment became the spark that ignited his journey into the world of technology and entrepreneurship. Up until that point, Jack had been an English teacher earning a modest salary of about $12. He had no background in computers, no training in technology, and certainly no idea that he would one day become a tech giant. But what he did have was curiosity, a willingness to learn, and a vision that many others could not yet see. In 1995, Jack traveled to the United States as an interpreter for a business trip. During that trip, he was introduced to the internet, something that was almost completely unknown in China at the time. The experience changed his perspective forever. While exploring the web, he typed in the word beer and found results from many countries, but none from China. He tried other search terms like China, and again the results were almost non-existent. For most people, this would just seem like an interesting observation. But for Jack, it was a clear sign. China was missing from the digital world, and that presented a massive opportunity. That realization stayed with him. He returned to China excited, inspired, and determined to bring the internet to his country in a way that would benefit small businesses and ordinary people. He didn't know exactly how to do it, but he knew that China needed to be online, and he believed someone had to take the first. Even though he had no technical skills, no money, and no connections in the tech world, Jack decided to act. He launched his first online venture called China Pages, which aimed to help Chinese businesses build an internet presence. Unfortunately, the project failed. There was very little internet access in China at the time, and people did not understand the potential of being online. Most businesses didn't take it seriously. The infrastructure wasn't ready and people were skeptical. But instead of giving up, Jack took this experience as a lesson. He began to understand how difficult it would be to educate people and change their mindset, but he also saw how big the rewards could be if he succeeded. The most important thing about this phase of Jack Ma's journey is how he responded to failure and uncertainty. Despite having no technical expertise, he asked questions, surrounded himself with people who understood the internet, and kept learning. He didn't let his lack of knowledge stop him, he let it drive him. He understood that being a pioneer meant dealing with rejection, confusion, and even ridicule. But he stayed focused on the bigger picture. This introduction to the internet marked the beginning of Jack Ma's transformation from a simple teacher into a visionary entrepreneur. It gave him a sense of purpose. He realized that technology could empower millions of small businesses across China, helping them reach customers not just locally, but globally. It wasn't just about making money, it was about changing lives through access and opportunity. This phase of Jack's story teaches us a crucial lesson. Opportunity often appears in unfamiliar and uncomfortable forms. He didn't wait until he was an expert to begin. He saw a gap, believed in its potential, and took action. In doing so, he positioned himself ahead of his time. Many people saw the internet as a toy or a passing trend. Jack Ma saw it as the future. In the end, it was this curiosity, open-mindedness, and boldness that laid the foundation for what would become Alibaba. His introduction to the internet in 1995 wasn't just a turning point in his own life, it was the beginning of a revolution that would impact the global economy. In 1999, Jack Ma made a bold decision that would not only change his own life, but also transform the landscape of global commerce. After years of failures, rejections, and small ventures that didn't work out, he decided to take a leap of faith and start a business that would become one of the biggest e-commerce platforms in the world, Alibaba. What made this move so remarkable was that Jack had very little to begin with. He had no background in technology, no access to large amounts of capital, and no government support. All he had was a dream, a team of passionate people, and an unshakable belief in the power of the internet. Jack Ma gathered 17 of his friends and colleagues in his small apartment in Hangzhou, China. There he shared his vision of creating an online marketplace that would allow small and medium-sized Chinese businesses to connect with global buyers. At the time, this idea seemed almost impossible. Most people in China didn't understand the internet, and online shopping was virtually non-existent. The infrastructure was weak, payment systems were unreliable, and internet access was limited. But Jack Ma was determined. He convinced his friends to invest in his idea not with money but with trust, time, and energy. Together they launched Alibaba. From the start, it was clear that Jack was not trying to copy existing models like Amazon or eBay. His vision was unique. He wanted Alibaba to be a platform by the people and for the people, especially for small businesses that were often overlooked by traditional systems. He believed that if he could give these businesses access to a global market, they could grow, thrive, and compete internationally. His goal wasn't just to make a profit, but to level the playing field. The early days were full of challenges. The company had no revenue for the first few years. It struggled to build trust among users and investors. At one point, Alibaba even came close to shutting down, but Jack Ma's leadership kept the team going. He motivated his employees by sharing stories, setting long-term goals, and creating a strong company culture based on passion, persistence, and purpose. He believed that customers first, employees second, and shareholders third, a philosophy that helped Alibaba build a loyal user base and a committed workforce. One of the most impressive aspects of Jack Ma's leadership during this period was his ability to turn disadvantages into strengths. He didn't know how to code or build websites, but he understood people. He focused on communication, storytelling, and building relationships. He made sure the team stayed connected to their mission, even when money was tight and the future was uncertain. He once said, "You should learn from your competitor, but never copy. Copy and you die." Instead of copying foreign models, he built something uniquely suited to China's market. Eventually, the hard work paid off. As internet access expanded in China, more businesses joined Alibaba. The platform grew rapidly, adding new services like online payments, Alipay, and consumer shopping. Jack's bold decision to trust his instincts and build something from nothing was finally validated. Alibaba's success proved that great companies can rise from humble beginnings, as long as there is vision, perseverance, and a willingness to innovate. This part of Jack Ma's story is a powerful example of what it means to start from scratch and still succeed. It shows that you don't need to have everything figured out or possess all the resources at the beginning. What truly matters is having a strong belief in your mission, the courage to take risks, and the determination to keep moving forward, even when the odds are against you. Jack Ma didn't wait for perfect conditions. He created his own path, and in doing so, he changed the world of business forever. Alibaba's rise from a small startup in Jack Ma's apartment to one of the largest e-commerce platforms in the world is nothing short of extraordinary. After launching the company in 1999 with a group of friends, Jack Ma worked tirelessly to build a business that would not only change China but eventually the global economy. His vision, persistence, and leadership turned Alibaba into a powerful technology empire that included online marketplaces, cloud computing, digital finance, logistics, and more. But this success was not instant. It was the result of years of trial error, innovation, and a deep understanding of what consumers and small businesses needed in a rapidly changing digital world. Alibaba's original goal was simple but powerful: to help small and medium-sized Chinese enterprises connect with buyers around the world. Jack Ma believed that the internet could empower small businesses by giving them the same tools and global access that large companies had. At a time when most people didn't believe in the power of online trade, Jack saw the future clearly. He knew that e-commerce could become a key driver of economic growth, especially in developing countries. What made Alibaba unique from the start was that it didn't stock or sell its own product. Instead, it created a platform where others could do business, an online marketplace where trust and convenience were the main currencies. Over time, Alibaba expanded beyond B2B business-to-business trade. The company launched Taobao in 2003, a consumer-to-consumer platform similar to eBay, which quickly became a major hit in China. Unlike eBay, Taobao was free for users and offered features that were more suited to Chinese consumers, such as live chat between buyers and sellers. This customer-first approach helped it overtake eBay in China, forcing the American giant to retreat from the market. In 2004, Alibaba launched Alipay, a digital payment service that addressed a major problem: online fraud. Chinese consumers were not used to paying online and many feared being scammed. Alipay solved this with an escrow system, where the money was held until the buyer confirmed they were satisfied with the purchase. This innovation was critical in building trust in online shopping and helped fuel the rapid growth of China's digital economy. Alibaba didn't stop there. The company kept growing, launching more services like Tmall for branded products, AliExpress for global buyers, and Alibaba Cloud for cloud computing. By 2014, Alibaba had become so big that it went public on the New York Stock Exchange, raising $25 billion, the largest IPO in history at the time. It was a defining moment not just for Jack Ma but for China's entire tech industry. It showed the world that a Chinese company could compete at the highest level and succeed globally. Despite all the growth and financial success, Jack Ma always emphasized the mission behind Alibaba. He wanted the company to be a force for good, to create jobs, empower entrepreneurs, and make it easier for people to do business. His long-term vision was to build a company that would last for 2 years, covering 3 centuries. This goal reflected his belief in sustainability and legacy, not just profits. Even after stepping down as CEO and later as executive chairman, Jack left a culture of innovation and resilience that continues to guide the company. Alibaba's success story is a powerful example of what can be achieved with vision, courage, and a focus on serving others. Jack Ma built one of the world's most valuable companies not by copying others, but by deeply understanding his customers and building a system around their needs. His journey proves that real success doesn't come from doing what everyone else is doing, it comes from doing what others are afraid to try. And in doing so, he didn't just build a business, he helped shape the future of global commerce. One of the most powerful aspects of Jack Ma's life story is his philosophy of persistence and optimism. More than his wealth, success, or influence, it is his mindset that truly sets him apart and inspires millions around the world. From his early failures in school, through countless job rejections, to building one of the world's most valuable companies, Jack Ma consistently demonstrated an ability to stay positive in the face of adversity. His life is a living example of how attitude, not background, intelligence, or luck often determines success. Jack Ma's journey was never smooth. He failed exams repeatedly, was rejected from dozens of jobs, and had no technical knowledge in an industry that was dominated by engineers. But what he had was unshakable belief in himself, in his team, and in the future. He once said, "Never give up. Today is hard, tomorrow will be worse, but the day after tomorrow will be sunshine." This quote perfectly captures his worldview. He understood that hardship is temporary, that failure is part of the process, and that good things take time. This kind of thinking allowed him to stay calm and focused when others would have walked away. When Jack Ma started Alibaba, the odds were stacked against him. The company had no profits for years. Investors doubted the idea. Internet usage in China was still developing, and many business owners didn't believe in online commerce. But Jack Ma remained confident. He believed that if he could just help small businesses get online, they would see the value and the rest would follow. He encouraged his team to stay patient, to keep working hard, and to believe in the mission, even when success seemed far away. His optimism kept the team united during tough times. Another important part of Jack's philosophy is how he views failure. Unlike many people who fear failure and avoid it at all costs, Jack embraced it. He saw every failure as a lesson, every rejection as redirection, and every problem as an opportunity. He famously said, "If you don't give up, you still have a chance. Giving up is the greatest failure." This belief helped him bounce back again and again. Even after Alibaba became successful, Jack continued to push for innovation and took risks, knowing that failure might happen, but also that it was necessary for growth. Jack Ma also taught that success is not just about intelligence or talent. In fact, he often said that he was not the smartest person in the room, and that he failed math many times. What mattered more to him was determination, teamwork, and a willingness to learn. He hired people smarter than him, listened to different opinions, and built a culture where everyone was encouraged to think big and take responsibility. His leadership style was based not on fear or control, but on inspiration and trust. Moreover, Jack Ma's optimism extended beyond business. He believed in making a positive impact on society. He talked openly about using technology to create jobs, improve education, and support small businesses. Even after stepping down from Alibaba, he focused on philanthropy, education, and entrepreneurship. He believed that success should be shared, and that those who achieve greatness have a duty to help others rise. Jack Ma's life reminds us that no matter how many times we fall, we can always rise again, stronger, wiser, and more determined. It teaches us that setbacks are not the end of the road but just part of the journey. Most importantly, it shows us that with the right attitude, even the most impossible dreams can come true. In a world that often focuses on quick success, Jack Ma stands as a powerful example of what long-term vision, faith, and persistence can achieve.